We can, yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir. My question is, what do you think, like both states, India and Pakistan, will stand in future in the political arena? And do you think that both states will ever work in strengthening ties? If yes, and how will be and what will be the prerequisites in doing so?
I think the prerequisites are very simple. The UN Charter says, I recently did a video on this. I suggest you all have a look at it. The right of self-determination versus the right of states to sovereignty and territorial integrity. You see, the 1945 world system of states is based on the maintenance of states. When states are disturbed and they break up, it disturbs the whole world system. It's a systemic problem. Like, for example, when Bush invaded Iraq and destroyed the government of Saddam Hussein, hundreds and thousands of people left, and then ISIS came out of it because people were so angry and frustrated by the way the Americans had disturbed their country. Syria was another example. Libya, they have done it. So the international system is meant to maintain states. And so Pakistan has to acknowledge that if we want our sovereignty to be respected, we have to respect the sovereignty of our neighbors. We have had the Taliban, as our allies, and now they are creating all the problems for us. We have had bad relations with Iran as well, who is also a neighbor. And with India, proverbially, we are their enemies for nothing. And so the first requirement is both states must accept the territorial integrity of each other, non-interference. If India is sending its agents to Pakistan and Pakistan to India, both have to agree this doesn't serve any purpose. Pakistan must not only formally but practically undo all terrorist organizations which we have nurtured, which in the end gave us nothing except 50 to 80,000 Pakistanis killed in these terrorist attacks. Of course, we did a lot of harm in India as well, but ultimately the main losers were Pakistan. And so terrorism has no future. And then Kashmir can be resolved along lines which I have suggested. I was in India now recently for almost 3 months, and before that I was in Pakistan for 9 weeks. Wherever I went, people were very sympathetic to my argument that these are 2 states, they should remain 2 states. But they should become good, trustworthy neighbors. They should cooperate. I gave them an example. I was in Bangalore and I met Dr. Devi Shetty. He's one of the greatest heart specialists. Every year he brings from 100 to 150 Pakistani babies who are born with the congenital heart problem. Congenital means at birth. And these are from poor families. So those children come with their parents and their whole treatment is free in India. And he's not the only one. I know many other examples, but here is someone I met who said that I have a list of 400 children, and he told me that the government of Pakistan cooperates in these matters. So it's not like Pakistan is totally, without an understanding that people who need medical aid in these circumstances should not be provided that. So Pakistan does grant such children and their parents to come to India to get treatment. Now I say, if this is the spirit, wherever I went, people said, look, Professor, our IT industry is growing phenomenally. and we can outsource jobs to Pakistanis with all the Pakistanis trying to get out of Pakistan, 400 of them drowning in the sea, and many more. You can outsource these jobs, they can remain in Pakistan, earn a good income, and serve Pakistan. The youth need not run away from Pakistan. And in my videos, I've kept on saying this. I've kept on saying this. But then you bring in Mr. Kakar, who makes all these statements, and then you have Bilawal Bhutto. I think Bilawal Bhutto now wants to be the blue-eyed boy of the establishment, calling Modi, I think, the butcher of Gujarat. But hey, you don't use these words when you are Pakistan's diplomat number one. You have to be very careful with the words you use in public. But when you do it to catch the eye of the establishment, that's a different matter. So we don't have people who have a vision, who have an integrity, and who can stand up and speak the truth. How will we ever manage it? Will we ever manage it? I don't know. But if India and Pakistan really become normal neighbors, I tell you, in the next 20, 30, 10 years, this region can be the engine of growth. This is the only region where people are educated, qualified, and yet because of this politics of confrontation, nothing is going forward. The Iranians want to send gas pipeline, which they want to take to India because that's the big market. So do the Russians, but Pakistan doesn't take grain. So we are, I use a word called nihilism. It means self-destruct. We are very fond of destroying ourselves. Unless we get out of this mindset and this hatred of India is given up, we have as many Muslims in India, actually more Muslims in India than in Pakistan. So why can't we turn our head eastwards? We keep on turning towards the west, towards Mecca and Medina. Very good, that's religious. But in the Arab countries, for 4 generations, Pakistani and Bangladeshis and Indian Muslims can live there, but they don't get the citizenship rights. In 5 years, 3 years, depending which European country, you become a full citizen. So which country treats you better or used to? Now, of course, everybody is worried about the Muslim presence in Europe because here also they create trouble and problem for the local societies. I've never seen Hindus creating problem. Never seen the Sikhs creating problem except when the turban is in the question. Nothing more. Buddhists, so many others. That wherever you have Muslims, they are going to create some sort of problem for the local society. This has to be said because I am speaking to a university audience and I want all of you to know what I have seen around me. Thank you so much. But the answer would be the establishment realizing that we have been unfair to the viewers for too long. They have a right to the resources which are in their territory, and they have a right to autonomy. Although I am not in favor of the Sarkari system, I think if we agree to that, we should also agree that education for girls, women, boys should be possible all over Balochistan, so that people get out of this, obsequious behavior, this behavior of submission to the Sardars. But otherwise, I think they should have a fair share in the national wealth. After all, so many things we get from Balochistan. Sunni gas used to come from Balochistan to Lahore, Karachi, and so on. But the Baloch got nothing out of it or very little. You can't be unfair to your own people. And to the Taliban, I don't know, because Pakistani military planners were thinking of strategic depth being in Afghanistan. And this once again was a flight from reality. The Baloch have never been friendly to Pakistan the way we think they should be. They still have a claim that the greater Afghanistan came up to Atak. Now even Marla Hills in Islamabad belong to Afghanistan. Now I'm saying we have to make sure that this menace, this scourge of the Taliban is properly defeated, and we learn not to promote extremism among the Afghans, because ultimately it will hurt us. Right now we are at the receiving end. So many of our soldiers, police people, and so on have been killed. I am told that in Waziristan, the Taliban even collect bhatta, they say, they collect money from the people, so they have their own government there. So where is the Pakistani state? You promote these people and then they attack you. So Pakistan's whole idea of strategic depth was a foolish one. One thing more, this whole notion of strategic depth is derived from two wars with the Russians. The Napoleonic invasion of Russia and then of Nazi Germany. What the Russians did was they kept on withdrawing their troops, in that the French and the Germans keep coming in. More than 1,000 kilometers, and then came the Russian winter. And then they surrounded these armies and destroyed them. Now, you can't have strategic depth when Lahore is 18 kilometers from the Indian border. Ajay, Gujranwala, same, about Sialkot 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers. The strategic depth is in front of you, not behind you. So the whole way of looking at planning Pakistan's security is also based on a bad reading of historical facts and having no good command over concepts and theories of international relations or about security matters. That's my understanding. I have no answer because the legitimacy of an election has to be accepted by the people. There is the legality and the legitimacy. You may have procedural correctness. You may follow the procedures correctly. Even that is questionable, as we know. Okay? But the legitimacy is that do the procedures result in a fair output or product? That is to be questioned. With the PTI leadership now arrested and so on, would such an election be accepted by the people of Pakistan? I don't know. And I don't see the election campaign actually starting if the elections are to be held on the 8th of February. This is the period when all the political parties should be out campaigning and so on. That's what happens in the rest of the world. I see no signs of it. So I don't know, even if the elections are held and a result is produced, would the people of Pakistan accept it or not? That remains to be seen. So that's my understanding.
Thank you so much, sir, for the detailed explanations. As we approach to the conclusion of this discussion, so I'd like to thank you for gracing us with your presence and obliging us with your remarkable knowledge. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the Multan on organizing this session and everyone who took part in this discussion. The engagement has truly made this session special. So would you like to say something before we end this session?
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to say that the world changed because the universities became forums for open discussion. And I'm so happy that I have been allowed by the authorities to present my views. That's a good sign. When I came to Lahore on the 13th of January this year to discuss my book on Jinnah, I was not too sure how I will be treated in Pakistan, but honestly, nobody harassed me, nobody intimidated me. So there is something in Pakistan which is to be appreciated. I think there is an understanding even in the establishment that you can't shut out dissenting points of view. Let people express their point of views and maybe we learn from them. So I hope the learning process is allowed to go on. Letting me talk to a university in itself is the strength of Pakistan, not a weakness. And let's hope this becomes something common. When I speak to you, I don't do it with a view to be negative, but to point out what is the problem and, if possible, give you positive, productive ways of dealing with it. And in that spirit, I take upon these invitations and my responsibility. So my heartfelt thanks to the Department of International Relations and this wonderful University of Modern Languages in Multan. I'm extremely happy, delighted, honored, and to have spoken to all of you. Thank you so much. Pizza, who arranged this? I honestly want to mention his name because he came in touch with me. And so thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.